everybody. It's your girl, Sherry. Welcome back to Alleged Ashley podcast. Happy Sunday. Happy Easter, if that's what you believe. Happy Resurrection Sunday for me. To you, it's a beautiful day. And, there's been some things brewing in those Bravo streets. And so today I wanted to do a Sherry's Quick Snip and discuss Kenya Moore's confessional video on YouTube, on her YouTube channel. God knows she made us wait for it, okay? Because originally, y'all, it was supposed to be released on the 15th, which was Tuesday. And then it was teased that it would be Friday. Well, we saw like a minute and 50 minutes, almost 2-minute teaser. And then she finally drops it. So I just have a few things to get on here and talk. I'm not going to hold you long. But I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on her confessional. So before we get into it, though, if you would, please, if you haven't already, please like this video. And go ahead, if you have not already joined the Actualizer family, and subscribe. Share this video with the masses. And please hit that notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when I drop content or go live. So let's get into it, y'all. So I happened to watch Kenya's YouTube confessional, and it was about 30 minutes. Well produced. Kenya looked beautiful. And I know a lot of you are like, why did you name it Confessions or Deflections? And I'm going to tell you why. Now, my Bravo bestie Joey, he's made it very clear, honey, that he stands for Kenya. He is a Kenya fan. Me? No, not so much. But nonetheless, I have respect. I think Kenya's beautiful. I told you guys, I thought she's extremely intelligent, and I think she's great for the show, right? So there's that. I don't like her nastiness. I don't like some of the things she's pulled over the various seasons that she's been on, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Nonetheless, she's a staple on the cast, and I didn't like the way things went down, but it was some of her own doing. At any rate, let's get into her confessionals on YouTube, her YouTube channel. Like I said, it was extremely well produced. Off top, she throws a little shade at Portia. We know that Portia also has a YouTube channel. Honey, all the housewives are coming on over to these YouTube streets. Listen, it's all good because there's room for all of us. So I say, let's do it. So Portia, she first decides to shade Portia by playing a little clip when Portia said that a housewife that is still on the show filming was the one that gave Kenya the nude situation for her little poster board display. Kenya says that was absolutely a lie. Yeah, I don't know. But we know that she had already addressed Portia on social media by saying, look, don't use my situation for clickbait. And it was a lie. Okay. Portia clapped back and said, look, nah, don't come for me. I was your girl. I went to production for you on your behalf. I didn't want to see you go out like that. I'm not your enemy, just to sum it up. Then she goes for the second rumor that was out there about how she got those risque photos of Britt Edie, the Ming Lee situation. Now, our good sis Jessie Woo was on her podcast and with the King of Reeds, and she was one of the first ones that I heard drop that it was Ming Lee that had given Kenya those photos. Kenya said absolutely not. No one gave her the photos, that she actually got the photos from pulling them offline from a corn minus C add the P site. And so she was dispelling those off top to get straight down to it, which I thought was cool. And then she gets into some of what happened with Britt that we didn't see. Now, you guys, y'all slide in the comments and let me know as we're going through this, as we're talking through her Confessionals YouTube episode, were y'all believing Kenya? I mean, okay, for me, yeah, some of it I did, but I have seen where Kenya definitely does embellish. Okay, so let's get further into it. So as we keep going, she also talks about what actually happened. So what happened was she talks about when she initially got to this season, the Sweet 16, season 16, she was actually excited to meet the new ladies. She talks about the scene at Shamia's party, the infamous, ring situation. She said she was confused because Britt had on the ring that had the diamond, like the oval shaped diamond. It was like one ring. So she was like, I didn't know whether it was an engagement ring or what ring. She said this was not the first ring, it was the second ring. So Kenya's talking about she was confused. Now I'm gonna have to side with Kenya on that. I thought that was crazy because I guess, I think Britt initially thought Kenya was going to be coming for her. But from Kenya's perspective, Britt came in with an agenda. I'm going to have to say I believe that, okay? She says that, Britt made a big deal about the ring. From Kenya's perspective, she said, I really don't know, did not know her, so it wasn't even that serious. She talks about those of Team Twirls know that, and we all know that Kenya is the shade assassin, is what she calls herself, and she does do some shade. So if she wanted to throw shade, it wouldn't have been that light. She said genuinely, it wasn't that deep for her. Do I think that low key her dismissiveness was also a way of her kind of coming for Britt a little? Sure. Let's be clear. But all right, so we get past that. She talks about the ring comment, how that was blown out of proportion. She talks about at the Balmain event that Kelly threw, how she called. She was like, "Look, I was nice to her at that, in the whole hug situation. I hugged her at the Balmain event and called her a Balmain Barbie." And then she plays a clip. And she, in fact, does say, "Hey, you look beautiful, Balmain Barbie." She did do that. Okay, so she did acknowledge her there. So I was like, okay, all right. And then we get to the dinner at the bank, Angela Oakley's dinner event. And she said again, I came in and she's like, I'm not a hugger. She said that hugging, she believes that it can be a transference of energy. So she's just not much of a hugger, though she did give the air hug. So she says that, yet again, here she was, as far as she's concerned, being nice. She said, Portia clocked it when she said that she was looking for Kenya to come for her and was thrown off by the fact that Kenya was so nice. Now, let's be clear, y'all. My opinion is Kenya was not that nice. I mean, no, she wasn't full-blown shade, but she was being dismissive. I mean, we all heard the peasant comment. Still, like I said, I am not Team Britt either. Not at all. I am not. There's more to discuss on Britt. I think I'll do a separate Sherry's Quick Snips to really get into Miss Edie, because her press run, and y'all, let's say I believe that Britt's going to be a one and done. It's a lot. It's a lot going on there. And her performance on Watch What Happens Live, to me, I can always tell when Andy is not feeling a housewife, and I can tell y'all he was not feeling Miss Britt. But to hear Kenya tell it. So that night, after the dinner, and she gets amped up about the whole peasant comment, the fact that when she was asked the question of, can she be nice to her? And she was like, I think I have been. Anyway, we know that it kind of just escalates from there. And what we saw was a very reactive Britt to something that even we as the viewers didn't understand. She says that what we didn't actually hear Britt say, but what Britt said was allegedly that I keep my pew-pew on me at all times for bees like you. Very threatening, okay? And that she said it more than once. And then when asked about, well, why didn't you go to producers? And she said that she did. She went to the producers. She went to the showrunner and through the HR channels, okay? She says that they didn't do an investigation with Brittany until 3 weeks after the event happened, after the incident happened. And basically it was they were like, Britt, did you actually have a gun on you that night? And she was like, no. Case closed. I don't know, yeah. I don't know if it was like that. I don't know if it went down like that or not. Like I said, I don't always believe everything Kenya says. Um, at any rate, that's what she said happened there. And she thought that was ridiculous. Then she went into some of the things that we've all been talking about Kenya, as far as she addressed the situation where on earlier seasons when she was getting ready to go on a trip and she was in her closet with her good friend Brandon, where she pulled out her pew pew and talked about how she hoped she wouldn't have to use it on Phaedra. She says it was a joke. She was in her closet. Phaedra was not around, nowhere near that, didn't hear that, nor was it meant to be threatening. I'll give her that, poor taste, sure, but Phaedra was not there to physically be threatened. So I'll give her that one, okay? She then also addresses when we all talked about the Kim Fields incident when she pulled Kim Fields' chair. She admitted that was wrong. She said that she apologized. She was vile to Kim Fields, by the way, on that season. Just vile. I mean, Kim is a legend. Like, you know what I'm saying? But she says since then that they have made up, that Kim had even asked her to, or invited her to be on her show with her, the Upshaws. Again, I cannot confirm or deny that. She may have. I don't know. She talks about she crossed the line with Phaedra, and that she had also had her moment. And I remember the scene where her and Phaedra had to sit down, that she did apologize. I think they both shed some tears. They're both fake, y'all. I don't know. I mean, she did apologize, though. So, okay, she brought that to our remembrance, and I was like, all right, she did that. Okay. So she was trying to go back through all the things that we have said regarding her antics in seasons previous, to kind of prove that Kenya sometimes takes things too far, or is not the saintly, grand housewife that, she's portraying herself to be. Now, she also gets into some things, and I will be honest, I agree 100% with her on that. She talks about, listen, you have other cast from other housewife franchises. She brought up New Jersey with the guys that brought up the corn minus the C with the P, where they showed it. And that was of Danielle Staub. I remember that. None of them were fired. She brought up the Vanderpump Rule, where that was actually some corn revenge there. They're still working, like she said. Valid points, but what irritates me about Kenya is, Nene said some of the same kind of stuff, right? And we all have seen the clip Nene reposted of her saying, well, when Bravo's no longer interested, you're just done. It comes a time where, you're not. In other words, like, accept your fate and go on. I think what has been her biggest mistake is not just laying low a little bit, letting things die down, issuing some apologies, and not doubling down on this. I mean, she did acknowledge that what she did was too far, that it was wrong, that she did apologize, and she apologized again in the video, y'all. I mean, well after the fact, but she did. She also talked about, one of the things that I found really interesting was when they asked her about the reunion, and she said that, she was invited and then uninvited. Yeah, that's very telling about her future with Bravo, NBC Universal. Not looking good for Miss Kenya, but y'all, if you go back and watch my video from last year before Real Housewives of Atlanta premiered, and the first, we started hearing the rumblings about Kenya's antics, and I said when we watched her Instagram live, when she played in our faces again, how she was like, I'm not going anywhere, I'll be back. And I told you, I knew then, Kenya is not good at her cover-up of looking unbothered. You could tell then that, yeah, I had a feeling she was done. But, from Kenya's perspective, she thinks, she even brought up the violent scene of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, where she was like, you got housewives hitting each other with glasses actual glasses upside the head. None of them are fired. We don't know that. She talks about it. I guess like she's trying to say, look, they get past that she didn't get, or I don't even know if she's necessarily alluding to the fact that the Black housewives don't get as much grace. And she made the comment that, if that had been Kyle Richards and someone had threatened her in that manner, she brought up the fact that, if you work in the post office and you say, I have a pew pew, and you threaten somebody, you'd be fired. If you were, and you know what? She's right. Now look, 1000%, Britt should be let go, should have been let go, should have been let go long before we even have this story to talk about. I stand for that, 1000%. I agree with that. What I disagree wholeheartedly with, the fact that I'd like to see her be a little bit more apologetic for what she did, even if she doesn't like Britt, look, that's fine. But let's just acknowledge that to go that low in that way, I know, y'all are going to say, well, she did apologize. And I mean, she did. It's just, to me, the sincerity seems to be lacking. She talked about how she went on Tamron Hall and apologized. She did. She talked about Kim Zolciak, how when Kim was getting ready to get off the scenes, she still was in the opening of the show. She still had the tagline. She still had her confessionals. And she got her spinoff show. All true tea. Then I was wondering, and where the deflection piece comes in is the fact that all those things can be true. But it starts with you, ma'am, and what you did to yourself. You went too far still. Every last one of the things that she brought up was 1000% true. But she would never be in the position that she's in had she used better judgment. And that's what we're all saying. We just want to see a little bit more sincerity, some humility. And we're just not getting that from you, Kenya. Your rants on social media, I know that you're probably angry, but if I commit a crime and someone else commits the same crime and they get away with it for God knows what, but I get punished, both of us were wrong, right? Sometimes it's just going to hit when it hits, and sometimes it's going to be you. Moving forward, I hope she's learned a valuable lesson. She talks about the love that she has for seeing women happy and beautifying women. I think what was smart was she did the plug for her hair spa in the middle of her video. Brilliant. Again, as much as I don't care for Kenya, I admire the right things that she does. And like I said, I think she's beautiful. And I honestly thought she was good for TV. I still do. Her fate, I think Bravo has parted ways with her permanently. Don't think we're going to see her back there. She claims she has all these projects that are coming up. Y'all, it sounds like one of those Kenya stretches of the truth. I'm sure she's working on something. I know she's working on, she trademarked Brooklyn's name, and she's got children's book with Brooklyn, her daughter, some things cooking there. And I'm sure she has some things to go. And like I said, her YouTube episode was, I watched it. A lot of us did. Did she over promote it and play in our face a little bit? Of course, it's Kenya Moore, y'all. Look, y'all, overall, she answered some questions. She did not, when Cynthia was brought up, she didn't want to speak about Cynthia. So I'm not sure what that is. I know that she was supposedly upset with Cynthia, saying how she thinks that Kenya was better than that. And she disagrees with Kenya and how it seems like she's getting to know Britt. All that, she didn't address it on there, which means I hope that there's room for her and Cynthia to patch things up, because Cynthia was actually being a good friend. She said it on the episode after Kenya did what she did, and she said that she thought she was better than that she hated that she let this in that way, and that she loved her. I don't think her stance has changed, so there's no need for her to be mad at Cynthia. But again, she didn't, when that question came up, She said she wasn't talking about it. So y'all, in closing, I'm just gonna say, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. I don't know that you're gonna walk or leave that video knowing a whole lot more. The detail that she gave on what happened with Britt, I believe her. I do. And I really think Bravo dropped the ball on not suspending and letting Britt Edie go, or putting some more of a lot more into the investigation. So those are my thoughts. Y'all slide in the comments and let me know what you thought. If you watched it, do you believe Kenya? Do you think that Bravo and her are going to work things out? How do you feel about them disinviting Kenya to the reunion? I think they should have her there. I think they should let her have her say. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you thought. All right, guys, you guys go have an amazing day and be back over here when I recap Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'll be back on tomorrow, and then you will have the Bravo Bestie Breakdown. I'm going to post in the community to see which one you want me and Joey to start recapping, because we've closed out Beverly Hills. We got the Valley. We can come together for Real Housewives of Atlanta. Or you just tell us what you would like to see us talk about. Slide in the comments. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.